Is it possible to have economic loss in monopoly? Yes, it is. It does not happen very often because usually being a monopolist is a good business, but it is possible. Have a look at the graph. So here we have our demand, here we have our marginal revenue, and these are our costs, average and marginal. Looking for our profit maximizing solution, we try to equate marginal revenue with marginal cost. So this is the point of intersection. Obviously, we find our QM, and we see now two things. We can find the price at which we should sell, which is PM, but we also see the average cost, and this average cost is very high. This average cost is higher than the price. So this is precisely where we have economic loss. And here could come the question of what is the reason for that? And there is no single answer to this question. It's like when you look at the door and you imagine the idea of getting an elephant, a normal full-size elephant, through the door. You would say it's impossible. And if you ask the question why it is impossible, then the possible answers are, first, the door is too small, or the elephant is too big, okay? So one of those two. This is similar with this graph. At the very first glance, you could say, well, this average cost is too high. Indeed, when you compare this slide with the previous slide, I made it by dragging AC curve up, okay? That's how I made this slide here. So one thing is average cost is too high. We have too big costs. But another possibility is that simply the demand curve is located in such a way that gives us a loss. In other words, perhaps demand is too small. If you imagine this D line that you grab and drag to make a bigger distance between this D curve and the origin of the coordinate system, if you increase demand, in other words, if you shift it to the right, then it would be possible to have profits again. So economic loss in monopoly comes either from too high costs or too small demand. Too high costs, well, that might be the reason to look again at your managers, because perhaps it is possible to reduce those costs. Too small demand, well, imagine how many letters actually you decided to write and send over last year. You, your parents, your family, your friends. We do not write letters anymore. So demand for letters, for sending letters, is decreased dramatically over the last 2 decades when we replace them with texting, with mailing, with messengers and all other communicators. Okay, so this is the case of national postal operators. You can see this for the United States of America, for instance. They decided to implement many new technologies. They decided to cut down employment very much, still having huge economic loss. And Polish postal operator called Poczta Polska is the same story. You know, if you are national operator, then you need to make it sure that everyone living in this country can get a letter. But obviously the cost of supplying the letter to some distant location may be very, very high, and it won't be covered by the value of the post stamp. So it is possible for monopolists to have economic loss. They are not doomed for success whatsoever. What if they have this economic loss? Well, we already know that. Over the short run, they can operate. Over the long run, it may be very problematic. For political reasons, they are subsidized. When I speak of national postal operators, they are subsidized in many countries. But basically, if you look at them as businesses, over the long run, they would not be able to survive. And over the short run, well, we know already our short run shutdown point. So if prices are below the average variable cost, minimum of average variable cost, business should be shut down, and that is all, even if it is monopoly. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.